I effing love residency. I'm an effing doctor. I get cool ass nice residents. I am on the way to become a badass EM doctor with sick patients and people care for my growth. And I can go all in on this, and this is amazing. Oh wow, this was really wholesome. I was very skeptical. I thought this was going to be somebody who was really jaded, and I thought they were just going to be making a very cynical post, but actually pleasantly surprised by this wholesome post. So if you're in the right environment with the right attitude, it can be exhausting, but fun. And I totally agree with that. If you're in the right program and you have the right attitude, it's going to be a great experience because you have basically you're just there to learn. You're just there to take care of patients, and you feel like you're making a difference. But at the same time, you're also growing in your own abilities throughout residency, and you're allowed to push yourself as much as you can in residency. Like in some ways, it's kind of nice to have this defined 3 to 7 year period. Okay, so for me, it was just 3 years, so on the shorter end, but where it's really all about focusing on a number one priority, which is going to be becoming the best doctor that you can. And, once you're out of residency, I think you're going to have different life priorities. So you're not going to be able to have that exact same level of focus as while you're in residency. Obviously, in residency, you need to be taking care of all the other things as well, prioritizing family and friends, health, everything like that. But there is really this kind of feeling where during this 3-year period or this 5-7 year period, one of your biggest focuses can be medicine, and it's okay to be spending a lot of time in that. This is also why in my video on how to make your rank list, one of the biggest things that I advocated for besides location, which is probably the most important factor, is just the overall feel of the program, the vibe of the program, the fact that it's non-malignant. If I actually go back to my YouTube post on this subject, how to make your rank list, I wonder if it was one of the top 2 things that I actually said. My name's Conan. I'm a first-year internal medicine resident at UC Davis. And so yeah, I said at 31 seconds, I said prioritize location, friends, family, cost of living, fun city. But the number 2 was really the feel of the program. Positivity of the interview, the overall vibe, how well interviewers knew your resume, and did residents seem happy/friends together? Let me see what I said. Also, this is back when I was just starting to learn how to cut my hair, and even now, I don't cut my hair super well, but I was like really buzzing it off to the side here, and I didn't know how to blend it. So I've started, when I cut my hair now, I use basically like a 2, and I kind of fade up to like a 3 or a 4 at the top. So I'm still working on it. It's a continual progress, but I kind of like that, it's kind of cool for me to be able to look at this old video of myself and just be able to see the change in my hair over time, because this was definitely like pretty shortly after a haircut, and it is not blended very well at all. Yeah, my haircut still is not super great, but I do think it looks a little bit more natural than, the haircut here. And I've been cutting my hair ever since basically the pandemic, so it's cool to see like the progression over time. Factor in the feel of the program that you got during interview day. I had a few programs where it really seemed like a positive experience. I had positive interview questions. They really knew my CV well. Whereas other programs, I could really tell that they hadn't looked over my CV. They asked a lot of negative questions like, oh, where do you think you're going to fail? Or what do you think your biggest weakness? It's actually also very surprising to me that in this video, the way I'm talking is just so monotone. I don't feel like I've actually changed much from then until now. I don't feel like I'm the greatest speaker. And a lot of times when I'm making these YouTube videos, I'm making a lot of edits. I'm making a lot of mistakes. I'm saying a lot. And I just like trip over my words a lot. I think one of the reasons is because I talk a little bit too quickly. And so my brain actually hasn't even come up with the words yet before I start talking, because whenever I watch things on YouTube, I'm just watching at 2x speed all the time. So I'm just used to this really, really fast pace. But interestingly, when I'm looking at this video, I do feel like, man, I sound like so robotic in this video. And so I also made a video on choosing Davis. And I think in this video, I also mentioned that the overall feel of the program was one of the most important parts for me when I was choosing it. Yeah, apparently a lot of people who are looking into UC Davis for residency look at these videos and then they bring it up during their interviews, but I think I mentioned it here. Hey, I'm Conan. I'm one of the new interns, and I was asked to make a video about why I chose UC Davis. For me, the 2 most important things when I was choosing a residency were really, 1, the quality of the training I thought I would get there, and 2, like the perceived level of happiness I would have there. So it seems like here I'm speaking a little bit more naturally. Maybe just that one specific day that I was recording that video, I was having a little bit more trouble talking for some reason. I summarize in brief. Go A, where you think your training is going to be good and strong and where you think you're going to succeed. And B, choose somewhere you think you'll be happy at, whether that's based on location, class size, the schedule, anything like that, or just the people there. Honestly, that's the most important thing. And you'll hear everybody saying, what I love most about this place is the people. And I think for Davis, that really is true. No matter where you go, residency is going to be tough. And we all are going to have other stressors in life outside of medicine. So you really want to go somewhere where you know that the residency is not contributing to additional stress. And it's something that is helping you grow, helping you learn, and not causing excess worry that you wouldn't have otherwise had. So choose a residency program that you'll be happy at. I think that's important. So that is a blast down memory lane. Definitely pretty fun to look at that. But let's go take a look back at that Reddit page and see what people were saying. So someone has found the ketamine. Yep, here's the cynics are starting to come out. Fine line between subdissociative feeling good and drowning in the hot tub K-hole. Careful, op. It's mentally and physically exhausting, but so was every other job I've worked. At least I have cool people around me and I get to do super cool stuff that helps people. And yeah, I think that's a great part to keep in mind with residency is that a lot of people who go into medicine, a lot of people didn't have like a traditional job beforehand. And if you've worked in many other types of jobs, they're just as grueling, just as kind of life-sucking and soul-crushing as any other job. And so medicine might be that way too, but that's kind of all jobs. And at least in medicine, we get to constantly be learning new things. We get to do like really crazy things that normal people would never be able to see. And so if you keep that in perspective, even though residency is so long and exhausting, it really is such a unique experience as well. And there's a lot of benefits to having that ability to always be learning something new, learning about the cutting edge research and new treatments that are available, and just having grateful patients. You'd have those really ungrateful patients who are really mad at you all the time, but you have those other patients that really do balance it out, and it makes it super rewarding. Right? I'm so effing tired, but at least I'm not getting screamed at about inefficiently folding pants or burning myself on a malfunctioning grill while my supervisor sits in the back picking her nose and eating it. Psych PGY1, and I feel the same way. I'll probably sing a different tune once I'm on an off-service rotation, but I'm loving my program so far and getting to lead my patients' care. I hear Seroquel is pretty cheap these days. Admit to psych for mania. Yeah, everybody's very suspicious of this post. That's why I was saying I was very surprised that this was actually like a sincere and wholesome post. I hated med school, but so far this residency shit slaps. And yeah, I totally agree. I think med school was kind of a little bit of a drudge. Is that the right word? But basically, you're always being evaluated all the time. You're not able to meaningfully contribute in a lot of ways. And so it feels like you're kind of just like a burden half the time. Or you just have to be stuck in the corner hiding. But in residency, you finally get to actually take action and do things actively for patients. So I think most people really do enjoy residency a lot more, even though it's tougher and you have longer hours and things like that. PGY1 July 7th post. Tell me about it in a few more months. Fondly PGY20. So there's this other guy, Mike Ginny, who's like a PGY19. I didn't know there's this PGY20 guy who's posting in here too, but that is really funny. PGY1 July 7th post. It's been what, 2 weeks since they started residency? That is pretty funny. That is pretty true. Oh no, this is so sad. I remember feeling this way during my first few years as an EM resident. It was glorious. No greater feeling. My, how things have changed. My advice, plan your exit from EM before you burn out. That's so sad. Oh, man. I don't understand why we do this so much in medicine. Medical students discourage pre-meds, residents discourage med students, and attendings go on to discourage residents. What a miserable life it must be to project your own suffering onto other people as if it's some kind of inevitability. Just because you made a mistake picking your specialty doesn't mean opted. We should hope for the best instead of always speaking in absolutes, predicting the worst. Realize that not everybody is cut from the same cloth. I actually feel like that's actually a really nice take on it. And that's a really nice response. Obviously, it's a little bit harsh to this guy, but it's kind of true. Yeah, we spread this negativity so much in medicine. But really, we should be trying to encourage people to be thinking more positively. When you find that you're browsing Reddit a little bit too much, especially r/residency, you do start to find that you start developing these like negative thought patterns because you just see it being perpetuated through all these posts and comments, and it just becomes this I forgot the term for it. Basically, the echo chamber basically is what it becomes. All right, hey floor residents, especially on nights. ... This is probably going to be like, make sure you order your Tylenol, make sure you order your melatonin so we don't get paged cross cover. Let's see what they're going to say. This is your friendly ICU attending. Just a reminder that I am here too. If you are worried about a patient and maybe your attending is not available or scary and you want to make sure you're doing the right thing versus should the patient be in the ICU, just call me. You can preface the call with something like, hey, this isn't a consult or a transfer request, but can I run something past you? I would much rather we have a brief chat than to end up getting a call when the patient is much worse and should have already been in the unit. This also helps me help you keep the transfers that can stay on the floor. Depending on where you are, this might be a call to the ICU attending, the PA, or the fellow, etc. But still, calling with a question if you need help is okay. Yeah, obviously ask your senior attending first when you can, but we get that that's not always an option or easy. Also about nights in small hospitals, you may feel alone, but you are never alone. If a patient is crashing, there is an ER doc you can call. There is someone in the ICU you can call. The ICU charge RN is a great resource. Don't feel alone, feel comfortable asking for help. I think this last part is definitely probably the most high yield thing because really sometimes when you're in the smaller hospitals, it really does feel like it's just you there. But there is always going to be somebody else in the hospital that can help you. And then regarding him calling the ICU attending directly as an intern and you're not sure what to do and you're afraid to call your own attending, I don't know about me, but I don't think that culture really is present where at least I've done training just to like randomly call up the ICU attending. The ICU attending overnight is going to be sleeping, it's going to be the fellow that's there. But this is probably a smaller hospital, I would say, that this person feels like this is more appropriate, and they're probably like the primary contact to begin with. So that's probably why they're saying something like this. But definitely take this first part with a grain of salt because it's going to be very institution dependent. This 1,000% over. I would rather be woken up if a patient is possibly/maybe declining than get a call where things have already gone downhill. In 2 weeks, we will have a post from a Pulm Crit fellow. Dear IM surgery interns, please ask your senior attending / a 5-year-old before waking me up at 2 a.m. about the patient with difficulty breathing. But still, appreciate the sentiment and it is accurate. Better to call and be yelled at than to tell your patient's family that they died because you didn't ask for help. As a Pulm Crit fellow, we covered 2 ICUs in different hospitals and a primary Pulm service with no critical care attending in-house. Getting calls to run something by me just does not work. It's not safe, and the medicine, surgery, FM, primary service team should discuss with their attending before calling ICU consult. Yeah, so this is exactly what my reaction was. I'm like, I don't know where this is going to fly necessarily, where you just straight up call the ICU attending just because you're a little bit worried. There's definitely an appropriate threshold, and part of residency is trying to identify that appropriate threshold and to also know how to escalate things to the next appropriate person without, jumping way too high and just escalating it all the way to the top when it wasn't really indicated. Some of you need a social media refresher. Oh, this may be useful for me. The amount of people posting pictures on social media of themselves in the OR with the patient's belly or even open abdomen, commemorating them moving on to the next year of residency is astounding. Seems like day 1 of med school, they tell you not to do that. Yeah, I think this is should be a pretty obvious one. I've definitely made some social media snafus, but I think posting a picture with you, with a patient without consent, that one, I think I would know not to do something like that. But who knows? Maybe everybody's going to make a mistake at some point. But yeah, this is something that people should not be doing. I'm confused by the comments saying OR pics that include patients' bodies on social media are no big deal. Patients don't consent to that, nor do they like it. We have to respect that. Regardless if an open belly violates HIPAA or not, how about don't be an asshole and respect your patient's privacy? Where in the basics of medical ethics is it okay to take a picture of someone in their most vulnerable without consent solely for self-aggrandizing purposes? Hard to believe how many people think this is okay. Yeah, and I think this is probably the crux of the issue here, which is, what are you posting it for other than for social media clout? Like, you're just trying to brag to people that you're in the OR operating on somebody. I wonder if this is going to become more of an issue with the younger and younger generations where this was kind of just the the default growing up, which is just, sharing things online, just sharing everything online, right? And while it may seem cool to be able to share something like that, and you're very proud of it, obviously, it's also, you're just sharing it because you want people to think you're cool, potentially, and you're violating patients' privacy. It's just, I don't know. I just wonder if that's why they're seeing more of these kinds of pictures being posted, is because the younger generation is just so much more used to sharing everything online. Day 1 of intern year, spent 4 hours writing notes on just 2 patients, left late. Supposed to be back at 5 a.m. tomorrow. It's 9 p.m. already, overwhelmed. And I definitely recall this in my first ICU rotation. I left at like 10:30 p.m. one day, and I needed to be back at 5:30 the next day. So that's definitely something that's going to happen, especially on your first rotations. But 4 hours on 2 patients, 4 hours writing notes on just 2 patients, that is quite excessive. But also, it can happen at the beginning of intern year. It's not out of the ordinary. Breathe, relax. It's day 1. There's a reason it takes 1,000 days plus to finish residency. Focus on learning one new thing every day. If you do that, that's a step in the right direction. Ask for feedback. Ask your seniors for help. You got this. Couldn't have put it any better. Take this advice, my best internal medicine colleagues. The notes matter the least. The least. Skim it down. Think of it as a legal document, number 1. A way to communicate your plan with very simple reasoning to other team members and yourself, number 2. And lastly, number 3, you actually need very little subjective from the patient most of the time to do medicine. And yeah, I totally remember as a medical student, my subjective part of the patient note was like always super detailed and super just comprehensive, and every single word that they said. Even now, sometimes I like to just write a bunch of extra stuff in the subjective just because sometimes it's a little fun. But honestly, the subjective stuff does not really change what you're going to do. A lot of times, it's not like any medical decision making is coming from it half the time when you're just like chit-chatting with the patient. So nowadays, you can really just say no acute events. Patient feels a little bit better than yesterday. And that could be your subjective. Like, it doesn't have to be so detailed like it was in medical school. Dictate, dot phrases, standardize your templates. Do residents become bigger assholes the further they advance in training? Why are my chief residents such biatches? Did they forget they were once junior residents? They make residency miserable. Anyone else? What specialty are you in? Spoiler alert, OBGYN. This is such a beautiful field ruined by such miserable and malignant. Residency sucks. Love my job though. Yeah. I don't know. I wonder what your guys' experience are. I feel like for me, I've definitely seen where residents become more and more jaded, more and more negative and malignant as time goes on. I've heard about this story all the time, and it's because they're burnt out, right? But for me, I almost feel like the more that I went through training, the more that I felt like I could put myself in the shoes of the intern or the medical student. And the more that I felt like I empathized with them, because I had been in that situation, and now I'm so much further removed from there, but I still, I don't know, I feel like I still remember how sucky it was and how sucky it felt to be in that position. So I feel like in some sense, some people become more empathetic as they progress through training more because they've seen more shit and they can empathize more with people having a bad day or a bad experience. I don't know. I don't want to put myself on like a high horse or anything and just be like, oh, I'm super empathetic or something. I really don't think I'm like the most empathetic person or anything. I feel like I'm very oblivious half the time. I like totally don't catch things half the time. And maybe the further away you get from intern year and third year clerkships, things like that, maybe you kind of forget that feeling. Maybe that's what happens. But I don't know. I feel like I just want to make it so everybody has the best learning experience that they have, and they just have the best overall experience where they're not feeling like people are putting them down or judging them or anything like that. But I definitely know I've made mistakes and have not done things perfectly. I haven't handled working with certain interns and medical students perfectly all the time. I've definitely made mistakes. But I think all of us would do better to just try to remember what it felt like to be in their position back then, so we keep a good perspective and try to optimize their learning. All you can do is be better when you're there and lead a new generation of nice people. I'm sorry. And yeah, that's potentially the best response that you can do, is just try to make it better for the next generation.